Hi, my name is Hanani, and today I will share with you a brief introduction to IoT solution using Node-RED, InfluxDB, and Grafana. Node-RED is an open source programming platform using drag and drop nodes, integratable with many hardware platforms, and have a very strong support community. InfluxDB is a database, open source database with a real-time frame data and end-to-end platform which is easy to integrate with other softwares. And Grafana is a monitoring software, also open source, which can be used to monitor your data with a user-friendly interface. With these three open source platforms, you can easily make an IoT solution. Let's go through one by one how to install and to integrate all these three softwares. This is an overview on how these three platforms communicate between each other. For example, when you have a PLC with hardware input and hardware output, if the PLC have internet connection, we can send the input data to Red Node, and Red Node will analyze the data to form into a database inside InfluxDB. And the InfluxDB can pass the database to Grafana to display in a dashboard form the behavior of the data. The InfluxDB also can function as an input to the Red Node program. For example, if you already have a set of data. And now let's go to how to install and basic testing on Red Node. So first of all, before you can run Red Node in your PC, you have to install Node.js. Node.js. For JavaScript. Go to download, and you can choose your preferred platform. For me, I use Windows Installer. You click on it, and it will pop up. Install. It will download directly. I already download inside my PC. We come like this. Here, and if I double click it, it will run. Next. You just need to follow step by step the installation. So I'm cancelling my installation because I already have it in my PC. And if you want to check whether the installation is okay or not, simply go and scroll until you search for Node.js. So it's there, meaning that your installation is good. And done. Next, you go to command prompt. Okay, here you need to type a few commands in order to install the package. Node package manager, install g unsafe. Okay, you can just wait until it's running. Okay, so we're done. Already installed Node-RED. To use it, we type Node-RED. welcome node, and then you can get your IP address here, the server running for IP. So you simply copy this one, open a new tab, and paste. So you get your node. Okay, here there's a lot of things. It's like the drag and drop platform for programming. If you move your cursor to each block, you will have some explanation. Usually inject is an input type and debug is an output type. And if you scroll down, there's other functions. For example, here you can use JavaScript. Here you can use the sequence position, and you can go through others as well. Okay, for example, I drag and drop here. I choose my payload. For example, my payload is timestamp because I want to display the time and date of each signals goes into the flow. Topic testing. Repeat none. Okay, done. Message payload. Okay. So if I deploy it, successfully deployed. If previously I didn't deploy, for example, delete, inject. Inject is most likely like input. You can say like input. And then message payload is something like output. So if you notice there's a blue circle on top of it, this indicates that that block haven't compiled yet or haven't deployed yet. Then this is a basic. I just want to test and then deploy. So no problem. If I want to inject, successfully inject timestamp. Okay, I can move to debug messages to see the output. Okay, if I move my cursor here, it will show, it will highlight this block. I inject. Okay, this is in a this number is very random, but if you click on it, it actually shows date and time zone. So date and time zone. If you double click, it will become into other format of data. Okay, for example, I want to change. I want to input a number. Want input 10. Deploy. And when I inject, it will give 10. When I inject string, for example, hello world. Deploy. And I inject, you can see hello world. So this is the basic of Node-RED, and you can explore other nodes as well. And if you go here, manage palette. Okay, here you can install other package that is supported by Rednode that will enable you to communicate with other softwares or platforms. For example, I already installed InfluxDB because it will be in our tutorial after this. InfluxDB. Okay, you can see here. Functions, network, sequence. This one, if you want to type direct HTML link, storage, yeah, install this one, InfluxDB. Later we'll go on how to install InfluxDB. And I also install dashboard. dashboard allows you to do some interface to the Red Note. And you can also have a Raspberry Pi interface. For this one is only Raspberry Pi simulator. For example, if I input the simulator here, you can see it pump up temperature, humidity, and pressure every 1 second because it comes from this one. It sends a simulated data. Okay. If you want to off, switch off because the data will continuously pumping. If you want to switch off, so simply deactivate and the data will stop. Okay. Next, we're going to explore how to install InfluxDB on Windows and want to test whether it's functioning or not. Okay, next, we're going to install InfluxDB. Simply go to InfluxDB website. Okay, here you click on the top right button, Get InfluxDB. Then you can see this one is for cloud, InfluxDB cloud. And scroll down, we're going to go for open source. Click download. And now we are at Influx Data. Okay, I'm going to choose version 1.7.10. Version 2.0 is a newer version, but since it's new, it's the latest version, there might be some unsolved bugs. So to be safe, we go for version 1.7.10. And when we click, we're gonna go to this. There's gonna be a pop-up window, and you can choose based on your platform, preferred platform. There's an Windows installer for OS, Red Hat, Ubuntu, and I'm gonna go for Windows. Okay, after you already install the zip file and you unzip the file, there's gonna be 5 application folders. Okay, that's one good thing about InfluxDB. It will not install into your hard drive, so you basically can save some space inside your PC. After you unzip, you're going to get this 5 application file. You go first with InfluxD, double click at InfluxD, gonna pop up, and you just need to wait until it pop up InfluxDB. Okay, and then enter. Okay, so after you run the InfluxD, there's gonna be a command pop-up window, and this install window gonna pop up, and just click allow access. Okay, then you go to Influx, and there is it. It's connected to HTTP localhost 8086. So this is your port number, and this is your HTTP address for the database. Okay, for example, you want to look at what database that's already have inside. You simply type show databases. So you have internal databases and testing. This testing database is the one that I've created earlier. So if you want to use this testing, you can type use testing. So using database testing. So now the system is running on database testing. Last, let's go to how to install Grafana into your Windows. Okay, next. Now we're gonna install Grafana. Go to Grafana website. We click downloads here. Okay, and then run it, download. Okay, here there's a few options. First, you can choose your version and open source. You can choose your platform. I will choose Windows. And there's two options. This one is the installer, and this one is the standalone Windows. If you go with the standalone Windows, you will not directly install the Grafana installer inside your PC. But if you use standalone Windows, you need to change the port number, because if you use this option, generally by default, your Grafana Windows will be at port 3000. But for example, you want extra privilege, you already have something running on port 3000, so you can use this one. Here you can edit your port according to your preference. Okay, but this one is easier, so we're gonna go with this one first, and later in other tutorials we will go to how to have a standalone Windows for Grafana. See, so I will click here, download, and you can just follow step by step. After finish download, just double click it, and then you can just follow step by step the download tutorial. After the download is finished, the system will request you to restart your Windows. Okay, after you already restart the computer, you can go to localhost 3000. Okay, so now we're already inside the Grafana. Okay, so as I explained earlier, Grafana is a platform for you to display dashboard. You can look around. For example, you can have dashboard, create dashboard, choose visualization. You can choose how you want to display the data. Okay, so now we want to try start program in Node-RED and integrate the data into InfluxDB, and then we will use Grafana to display the data from InfluxDB. Okay, first of all, we must make sure our Node-RED page is ready, our Grafana page is ready, and our InfluxDB is ready. We will check the data afterwards. Okay, first of all, we start with timestamp. Okay, and then I will add on some random data, because this is just for testing, for tutorial purposes, and currently I didn't attach with any output to get data. So I will just generate a random data. For example, message censored. Okay, 1 to 10. All right. So you can choose between a real number, floating point, or a whole number integer. So I use this one. It's easier to understand. Okay, message.censor. You can give any names. This one I use sensors. Okay, these random numbers will act as a sensor inside the system. And then function. Okay. Since we have random data act as a sensor, so we have to define it. For sensor is equal to MSG. So basically, this one, you can define any names equal to the random numbers that will generate here. So this node will generate random numbers under msg.sensor. And this one will define msg.sensor under name sensor. Okay. If sensor greater or equal to 5, then we will send a data payload. Let's see the payload. Okay, here you can define anything that you want to denote. For example, if sensor is greater, the sensor value is greater or equal to 5, then you want to say that the temperature is high, or you want to say that the door is open. You can define all these things inside the message payload, and it will be injected inside the database. For example, whenever the system evaluate the value of sensors, first I want to insert num-value sensors. Okay, I want to insert this value, the random sensors value, inside the database. Anything that you want to store inside the database, you must define under message.payload. Okay. This is the first item that you want to install inside the database. Second, string value. Okay, we're going to denote as high. And valve condition. Zero. So meaning that whenever the sensor reach a high temperature above preset, it will display the value of the sensor and whether it's high or low, and the condition of the valve. If the sensor, the value is denoted as high, then the valve will be closed. Okay, we make another condition. Less than 5. It will return low and the valve will open. Okay, so make sure there's no error inside the program. So I want to give a condition. Done. Okay, and then last we need to inject the data. Okay, try to deploy and inject. Okay, you can see valve number 1 low and valve condition is 1. Let's try again because it's random generated. So number value is 2, the sensor value, the string value is low, and the valve condition is 1. Okay, for example, I don't want to continuously inject, I want it to automatically repeat. So repeat interval every 5 seconds. Okay, 5 seconds. Done. And then deploy. So it will inject every 5 seconds. Maybe it's too slow for us to see it here. Okay. So it's high, low. Okay. So basically this is the data. But the data now is not inside the database yet. So we need to add on InfluxDB. Okay. For example, you want to stop this debug, you just click here. Okay. It is important to test your data first before you inject inside the database. Because if something wrong with the data, then you can fix it inside the Node-RED. Because if it's already injected into the database, then it will become mixed data. Okay, so now we want to start integrate InfluxDB inside our Node-RED. Okay, so we need to use this block, this function node. If you don't have this one, you can just simply go to here and manage palette, install, and you can search Influx. Since you already installed InfluxDB inside your PC, install. I already installed, so after you install, there will be a node, InfluxDB node here. So just simply drag. I will put influx out. Okay. Before I want to pump data inside the database, I need to create a database first. So I go to influx.exe. You can open this from one of your here influx panel. Okay. So I will create a database. Create database. We call it testing tutorial 2. Tutorial 2. So the database already created. So we want to check. We can show databases. Okay, we have here tutorial 2 because this is other testing or tutorial video that I made. So next we use tutorial 2 using database tutorial. So now we already create a database inside InfluxDB. So you can go back to Node-RED. You double click at InfluxDB output. Modify the server, make sure the port is correct. And the database name, just now we create tutorial 2. Update. And measurement, you have to put a name to this measurement. For example, tank pressure. Done. Okay. If you want to make the node shorter, we put name at the node, tank pressure. Okay, so deploy. If there's no problem, no error, it should be the data is also injected inside this tank pressure. So every time the data, the timestamp injected, it will trigger the random generator, and it will go inside this condition. There's going to be a message payload where we can monitor inside the debug window here, and also it will inject it into the database. If you want to check, you can simply go to InfluxDB, show measurement. So as as a tank pressure because we create a measurement here. And if you want to check, show field keys. So here, InfluxDB, whenever it takes the value from a data, from a source, it will automatically evaluate the field type of the data. For example, we have num value. This one is float, string, and float value. So the database will auto store for field type float, string, and float value. And if you want to display the data, just to check, just to double confirm whether the data is there or not, simply type select from, and then we can key in our measurement name, tank pressure, and then how many data you want to display. For example, I display 10 data, limit 10. So it will display the data that is injected from the node rack. So now our database is okay. So you're going to go to Grafana. First of all, you need to set up our data source. You go to configuration, click data source. If you haven't had this InfluxDB, you can add a data source and you can choose. Cancel because I already have this InfluxDB. I just need to edit it. Make sure you type localhost of 8086, and you must change your database name. For example, now you're using tutorial 2. I'm gonna just leave the user name and password as blank because this is just for testing, and save and test. Data source updated, data source is working. So now the database is already inside Grafana and ready to be used. Create dashboard. For example, we want to create a graph. So go with graph. This is where we choose our visualization, and this is where we put the data inside the graph, inside the visualization. So I'm going to use InfluxDB, the database that already been set up just now. I'm going to use num value to display the value of the sensor. Okay, this one is if you want a mean value. I want maximum value, so I just remove this one and I change to max. So you can see 0 to 15 because my data range is between 0 to 10. So they have a display of 5 for buffer. Okay, you can see the data is here. And now it is off, meaning that Grafana didn't refresh the data inside the InfluxDB database. For example, if I click here, every 5 seconds, Grafana will refresh the database it gets from InfluxDB. So we can see the data moving every 5 seconds. For example, you want to display the value of the data, you can add panel. Every time you want to add something, some other visualization, you simply add panel and choose visualization. I want to display the value, for example. And I choose this one. Go to data, InfluxDB, tank pressure. Now I have the value, but this one is the mean value. Want to get the maximum value. Go back to dashboard. So now every 5 seconds I can see the actual value of the sensor and the tabulated value inside the graph. Here we can see whether the graph or the temperature is going low or going high. So now you can see the data from Node-RED inside Grafana. That's all from me. See you in the next tutorial video. Hope it can benefit to you. Bye bye.